Amberlynn Reid is no stranger to controversy. She's been exposed over the years for doing all kinds of awful things. So when these PDF file allegations were levelled against her, I really wasn't that shocked. I think that allegations like this are serious and they deserve attention, and the evidence for their validity should be considered in an unbiased way. And that is what I aim to do in this video. I've collected all the evidence I can find of this kind of behaviour from Amberlynn Reid over the years, but please do let me know if there's anything serious that I've missed. I think it's fair to say that if there is something bad that could be believed about Amberlynn Reid, people will tend to believe it rather than not believe it. But because these allegations are so serious, I just want to make it clear that I'm not accusing Amberlynn Reid of anything. I'm merely going to be combing through what we have, what we can look at, and making my own conclusions. Although it is about a topic of a serious nature, this video is intended for entertainment purposes only. By the time this video has been filmed and uploaded, it will be about 3 weeks since this came to the forefront of girl world once again. The reason this happened is because Amberlynn Reid was discovered to be following an Instagram account that was posting PDF file related content. I'm not going to mince words in this section, so if you are uncomfortable seeing this kind of content, which of course I understand, I would skip this section. The fact that Amberlynn follows this account was discovered by an Instagram user called Despectful Moments. I'll put a picture of their account here. The user that Amberlynn was following was called horny_n_word_laundry. His account is now private, but it is still active. He appears to have deleted 2 posts since January 20th, 2025, but sadly he is indeed still on Instagram. The memes he was posting were disgusting. It wasn't just the memes themselves, but it was also the taglines that were written underneath them. They were vile, sickening, and triggering. Here is the evidence that Amberlynn Reid was following this account on the 20th of January 2025. Just to be clear, that credit for popularising this goes to Despectful Moments on Instagram. Here are some of the memes which this page had posted. I won't read them out loud or focus on them too much because, you know, that's not necessary. You can pause to look if you want to. Amberlynn Reid posted a story on Instagram explaining how this follow happened. I've snipped this video into little chunks just to give you the gist of her explanation and make it a bit more digestible.
So I have been messaged that I was following an account that was posting very gross things, and I get a lot of really nasty messages. Sometimes when it's like so nasty, I will click someone's profile before deleting their message and blocking them to see what are these people like. Like, do they have a family? Are they like a normal person? And this specific profile, I remember, actually sent me a really mean, nasty message. And I remember clicking their profile. I think I accidentally clicked follow, because I didn't even have them blocked at that point or anything. It was just like an accident follow. Like, if you guys go see the people that I follow, you'll know, like, I don't follow accounts like that.
I have 2 main issues with this explanation from Amber, and they are these. Number 1, she claims that she is never on Instagram, which we know is not true. She says she uses it like an email. This could be the case. She says that she never scrolls. I don't know. I can't comment. I don't know if that's true. I've never DM'd her, and I'm sure she wouldn't reply to me if I did. She did share her Instagram usage at one point, and it showed that she'd used it like 32 minutes one day and hardly ever used it the rest of that specific week. So this could be true. It's possible that she follows the account and she never saw the posts. But I also know that the less people you follow, the more likely you are to see the posts of the people that you do follow. And she only follows 48 people. So it's very likely that she would have seen the posts, but I can't comment. It is possible that she just didn't. But we do know for sure that Amber is always on Instagram. She claims that that's the one place on the internet where she gets lots of love. I claim that it's ironic that the only place that she receives this love is somewhere anonymous where nobody can actually see it. However, my other problem with this video is that Amberlynn claimed that she followed this account by accident. Now, what I will say, and I'm going to do a little demonstration here, is that accidental follows are very, very unlikely. So here is my phone. Let me just log into it. Also following on Instagram. My Instagram is @RachelThePython. So if you go on someone's Instagram, let me go on Amberlynn Reid's Instagram. So what's her at again? I don't follow her. Ambi. What is it? Hectic Ambi. By the way, sorry to be a hater, but fucking hectic. If anyone uses the word hectic around me now, I'm immediately triggered. And also hecticana. What the fuck is hecticana? Maybe I'm just too English. I don't know, but I think she sounds fucking dumb. So here I am on Amberlynn Reid's Instagram. I have an iPhone 16, I think. So when I hold it, my thumb is down here. That's the follow button there. Okay, it's here. It's this high. So I'm holding my phone, and if I was to accidentally follow this account, I mean, I couldn't. I wouldn't be able to, right? I'd have to do this thing, which I always do because I've got a long phone. I pull it down and it comes halfway down. If I did that, sure, it would kind of be lined up with my thumb. Kind of. I mean, the follow button's there. But in order to reach it, I would know that I've reached it. I'm just going to unfollow because I'm never on Instagram. So anyway, that may have been a bit of a messy example. The point is, it's bullshit. Okay, I just remembered that I said I'd be unbiased in this video, and I try to be unbiased generally. I believe it's extremely unlikely that you could follow someone by accident. I could be wrong, let me know if you disagree. I believe that it's far more likely that Amberlynn thought this content was funny, and so she followed it because she thought it was funny. When the fact that she followed this account became popular, she started to delete videos. You might ask yourself, well, if Amberlynn Reid has nothing to hide, then why would she bother deleting her videos? And it's a valid question. Is it just a coincidence that when she was discovered to be following a PDF file related account that she suddenly just chose to delete videos on that day? And it wasn't just any old videos or 1 or 2 videos. She deleted almost 1 million views from her channel. And no, it's not a coincidence. It turns out that the videos she deleted were ones in which she's interacting in deeply inappropriate ways with and in front of a child. I will show you all of that in a minute, but first, let's talk about this a bit. We have to admit that the timing is concerning. Look at this graph. So I'm putting this graph on the screen here. It shows you that in the week commencing January 19th to the week ending January 25th, Amberlynn Reid deleted 930,467 video views from her channel. And if you look at this week, she was exposed for following this channel on the 20th of January. I think that trying to suggest that this is a coincidence is a bit laughable. Luckily for us, and not so luckily for Amberlynn, the good people of YouTube had screen recorded, saved, and re-uploaded all of the videos that she deleted. These videos were one which contained this particular child, whose name is Libby. That made my job here a lot easier, so thank you to all the channels who did that. If you are accused of carrying out PDF file related stuff, and then you go onto your channel and delete loads and loads of videos from years and years ago, and the ones that you delete are ones which have a child in, I think yes, it is very suspicious. It makes you look like you were getting nervous and uncomfortable and getting itchy toes about the fact that somebody might go back and film these videos. Luckily, that had already been done. This is not new news. People have been talking about the Libby situation for a long time. One could argue that Amberlynn is often the victim of confirmation bias. People already dislike her, so they will look for this kind of content and see what they want to see in the content. You could say that, and that might explain why she deleted it, not because she was worried that the content was actually inappropriate, but because she was worried it would be misconstrued in that way. However, I don't find this convincing at all because the content itself is so very inappropriate. Regardless, trying to remove videos from the internet is it's very difficult and it's not worth it, especially when you're someone like Amberlynn Reid. You just know that that's been well and truly screen recorded by many, many people. Either way, it makes Amber look bad. The deleting videos definitely makes Amber look bad. As Amber had deleted so many videos, suspicion began to rise. Once suspicions were high, people once again began looking into Amber's past. And unfortunately for her, there are quite a lot of things to look at, which are adjacent to PDF related things. One of these is Amberlynn Reid's old Ask FMs. Just in case you aren't familiar with Ask FM, it's a website where users can anonymously ask questions to other users. So before we delve into this main body of evidence, we need to look at these Ask FMs. I think that they do give us some context into Amberlynn's mindset when it comes to children and PDF files. We'll look at these now. So if you don't already dislike Amberlynn Reid, prepare to change your mind because when I read you these responses, you will be horrified. The first few are from May 2014, so Amber was 24 years old at the time, which is roughly the kind of age she was when she was hanging out with Libby, who's the child we're going to talk about later. So somebody asks Amber, it's not a matter of you can't help how you feel. And Amber replies, actually it is. It's a sickness just like cancer or depression or obesity. It's a sickness. You cannot control sickness. You can get help, but that only goes so far. That is really quite scary. So just to say here very quickly, there are some controversial academics who identify PDF files as people who struggle with a sickness. I am not educated enough to comment on that. I'm no psychologist, but that doesn't matter anyway because neither is Amberlynn Reid. Even if inappropriate interest in children is a sickness, it's nothing like cancer, depression, or obesity. These three things, cancer, depression, obesity, are all entirely different to each other as well. This comment, this comparison from Amberlynn highlights her total lack of critical thinking skills. Note also that she uses obesity, depression, and cancer. Now, obesity and depression are two things that she herself struggles with. Ironically, she also later goes on to get cancer. But that's interesting, right? Why would she choose 2 illnesses that she herself has when she's making this defense of PDF files? Why not use other established illnesses? Depression is an illness, a mental illness, and obesity is kind of an illness. But why use ones that she has? Why not use things like HIV or pneumonia or fucking scabies or something? I don't know. Is she subtly trying to defend herself as well? Does she identify with PDFs in such a way that when she defends them by making out that their illness is a sickness, she's also mentioning sicknesses that she herself has? I did just wonder why she chose those ones specifically. The reason this person used the phrase "you can't help how you feel" is because this is what Amber said about it. So look at this one. Somebody says, "How hypocritical can you be? You always like to say you can't help who you're attracted to when people question you being gay. Yet you tell a guy it's wrong to be attracted to children." He even clarified that he wasn't talking about acting on it. I personally think both are equally wrong. Amberlynn replies, "I always say that too. How can I judge someone if they're sexually attracted to children? I constantly get backlash for it, and the only reason why I say that is because I can't help who I'm attracted to." I don't care right now about the weird views of the person who's asking the question, but look what Amber replies. Please remember that she is 24 here. She says, "How can I judge someone if they are sexually attracted to children?" Very easily, Amber, very fucking easily. How can I judge someone if they're sexually attracted to children? Well, you look at them, you hear that they're sexually attracted to children, and then you immediately judge them. I understand that there's a difference between holding those feelings and acting on those feelings, but I don't care, I still judge you. If you fancy kids, I judge you, and I don't give a fuck who knows it. When Amber then says, "The only reason why I say that is because I can't help who I'm attracted to," it's just ridiculous. Here she's trying to equate being a lesbian to being a PDF file. This reads to me as just another way of her identifying with PDFs again. I just think that that is a really strange comparison to make. I understand that being a lesbian relates to who you're attracted to, and being a PDF relates to who you're attracted to, but that doesn't mean that they're in any way the same. That doesn't mean that you can make that analogy just because they have this one similar thing. Being a PDF file is a criminal offence. Being gay is fun as fuck. Somebody under a video from The Ankle comments this. "She's so gross. She has more sympathy for the PDF than the victim. She resonates with the villain because she is the freaking villain. If we have sympathy for their victims, as in the victims of PDF, then her victims of her uncontrollable, abhorrent behaviour deserve sympathy too, and she can't take it." I think this person's right. She's being a PDF apologist right now, and that is mad. I mean, that is insane work. Somebody says, "Did you seriously just excuse PDF files and compare it to how people might feel about you being a lesbian? It's completely different. There's nothing wrong with being gay. Being a PDF file, however, there is no excuse. It's not normal or right, and we should not just accept it." Amberlynn replies, "It's not something I want to accept per se, but I know how it feels to be judged. You can't help how you feel, right? I'd just rather not have to deal with any of it." And this comment is completely right. Amber equating being attracted to children to her being attracted to people of the same sex is crazy work. It's so fucked. There's a few more PDF related questions which I'll roll through the screen now, but the main upshot of these is that Amberlynn claims that she was a victim of childhood SA. Now you might think that if she was a victim herself, then she wouldn't hold the views that she holds, right? But when I was reading these answers, I couldn't help but find myself wondering, if Amber has experienced childhood SA, then why would she feel the need to make excuses for the perpetrators, because she knows how bad it is, she's been through it. I then, while researching for this video, found this post where somebody asks Amber, they're talking about her posts about PDF files, "If you don't stand by them, then stop deleting your apologies, leave them up. It looks like you stand by your old views when you say you're sorry, give your excuse, and then delete your apology/excuse." In her response on here, you can pause to read if you want to, Amberlynn claims that she was SA'd by her cousin. I know that later she claims it was her father's friends who SA'd her, but then she says that actually it wasn't and that it was just harassment. But one thing that I found interesting is that Amber says here, "I'm trying to make excuses of why it happened to me." Obviously, because of Amberlynn's contradictory claims, we've got no idea if she was actually SA'd. She's made it very clear on the internet that she's got no idea what this word or words relating to this actually means. And she's a master of trying to change the definition of words to fit into her own rhetoric. Anyway, all this to say, the reason that Amber could be such a PDF apologist could be, as she claims, because she had one in her family, but it also could be because she's one herself. Now, just to be clear here, this is not me saying that Amber is a PDF, but some of the things that she said in her Ask FMs do seem to be her her almost relating to them or drawing comparisons between herself and them, using her various illnesses and the fact that she's been judged in the past? Could it be that the reason she feels the need to defend this group is because she's part of it? We also know that one of the things which can cause people to become PDFs is childhood experience of SA. Now, this is not always the case. I myself was a victim of childhood SA and I am not a nonce. It's by no means a hard and fast rule, but it is something that can happen. I just thought I would mention that. As it stands, we don't know if Amber is a PDF file or not. The stuff I've shown so far establishes some context and helps us to understand some of Amber's views, albeit ones that she expressed many years ago. But let's look now at what the actual evidence that we do have, which comes from Amber's behaviour. Hell, it comes from Amber's own YouTube channel. I'd rather look at what she does over what she says. I tend to find that's a more accurate way to get an insight into somebody's mind. So I turn now to Amberlynn's actions over the past years and what they show us. When Amberlynn Reid was dating Destiny between 2015 and 2016, making her 24, 25-ish, she spent a lot of time around a girl called Libby. Libby was 15 during most of the filming which occurred on Amberlynn's channel. Amberlynn's actions towards and in front of Libby have been a massive part of the speculation in this situation. I think understandably. Now in this section I'm going to show you what has made people so concerned and give you my thoughts on what I see. For some more context on Libby, she was 15, hanging out with Amber and Destiny, who were 25-ish and 20-ish respectively. Amberlynn claimed that Libby was a family friend. Here's a video of her explaining it.
Okay, by one particular person saying that Libby hanging out with us is like two straight guys hanging out with a 15-year-old. I'm like, what? Libby and Destiny have known each other for years and years and years and years. It's like a family friend. And like, I met Libby when I first moved here. Somehow, like, every time we'd kind of like see each other, we would click really, really well because her mature level is pretty high.
This begs the question, is it wrong or weird for a child to hang out with adults? I could answer that with a simple yes, it's weird, but I think it's important to dig a little bit further into why I think that. So, is it weird? Is it weird for a child to hang out with adults? I think there are some circumstances where it isn't weird. For example, if you're a parent and you have a child who has a friend and you take them out for the day, of course, that's not weird. And there are other circumstances where I think it could be okay, but that comes with the massive caveat that as the adult in the situation, the onus is on you to behave respectfully and responsibly. As the adult, you need to maintain and enforce boundaries which keep the child and yourself safe. I know a lot about this. I was a youth worker for a while, and an example of boundaries like this will be if a child brings up a topic that's inappropriate or makes a joke that's inappropriate, you don't laugh, you don't encourage them. You would simply say something really firm and really straightforward like, I don't think that's an appropriate joke to make. Or, let's change the subject, shall we? As the adult in the situation, it is on you to keep everything respectful and appropriate. Amberlynn Reid does not do that. Amberlynn is consistently pushing boundaries around Libby. She's doing and saying things which are completely outside the realm of what is okay and acceptable to do and say in front of a child. If you're going to be around a child, you need to be mindful of your behaviour. And doing that requires high levels of common sense and emotional intelligence and awareness and responsibility. These are not traits which are commonly associated with Amberlynn Reid. And we have lots and lots of evidence that Amberlynn did the opposite. Let's take a look at that evidence now. Amberlynn said and did things in front of Libby which vary from slightly inappropriate to downright unacceptable. One of these is when the group are going swimming and Amberlynn asks Libby to show the camera her swimsuit.
Libby, you want to show them your bathing suit?
Oh, okay.
It's cute.
So I don't really have bottoms, so I'm probably just gonna wear shorts today.
I haven't shown the whole clip, but after that bit that I just showed, Libby lifts up her swimsuit and shows her bikini top and Amberlynn comments on the colour. Amberlynn filmed this and put it on YouTube. Libby was 15. Then watch this clip where Libby and Amber are at the park and Amberlynn says,
You have a cock in between your legs.
If you reckon that's bad, watch this clip.
Okay, so this is going to be pretty pathetic, but we all have a joke that Libby's our kid because we buy her food, we buy her toys.
Toys?
We buy her toys.
Like, either it makes it sound like I'm 5 or it makes it sound like you're buying me like dildos.
I'll let them try to figure that out.
Try to guess which one it is. Haha.
These two jokes are perfect examples of the kind of thing that you don't say in front of a kid. The fact that Amberlynn makes a joke about cocks and Libby makes a joke about dildos show the kind of levels of appropriateness that the adults in this situation, Destiny and Amberlynn, allow in this environment with a child. Watch this one where Destiny makes a slightly sexual innuendo towards Libby and Amberlynn pushes it even further.
Don't hurt us. Because we don't have Pam.
Oh. Oh my god, you splashed butter everywhere. I'll splash your butter everywhere.
What is her butter, huh?
This is exactly what I was talking about before. If you're an adult who's going to be spending any amount of time around a child, it's your job to take responsibility and be the one to enforce the boundaries of what's appropriate. And clearly, Amber does not even attempt to do that. In the video I just played, where Destiny makes a slightly jokey innuendo, Amberlynn takes it even further by saying, "What's her butter, huh?" And the next thing we know, a sexual joke is being made about a child. Destiny is also not blameless here at all, but this video is not about her. Some people might say, well, Libby's 15. 15 is okay. She's not far from being an adult. 15's relatively mature, right? But I have such a problem with this mindset, and I disagree with this so strongly, because in a way, 15 is the age where you most need to take responsibility around the kid. It's almost the most dangerous age, because when kids are 15, they want to be old and they feel old. They want to grow up and be cool and be an adult. And it's kind of our job as the actual adults to make it clear that no, they are still a child. I don't mean patronizingly, but I just mean respectfully. And one of the best ways to do this is not engaging in conversations that make a child feel like they are an adult. Conversations where you talk about sex, for example. You have to keep it mature and respectful. What you absolutely don't do is suggest that this child sleeps in your bed with you and your adult partner.
Too bad because we all sleep in this one room now. So
Yeah, Libby likes the couch, and we obviously like the. Where else? I mean, she can sleep in the bed with us, but.
Another shocking example of this behaviour from Amberlynn, and this one really, really is horrific. It might be the worst one. Amberlynn makes out that somebody has asked her the question, how do lesbians have sex? Between you and me, the answer is for a long bloody time. But right in front of Libby, Amberlynn says this.
The question I'm going to answer is, how do lesbians have sex? To the person who asked that question, you're funny. These are the things that lesbian couples can do if they wanted to. There is scissoring, which I'm sure you guys know what that is. There, you can finger, rub the clitoris. There is oral sex. If your relationship isn't spicy enough, or maybe someone ain't doing that good, toys are a good thing, but me and Destiny don't need them. I'm done.
Sorry if that clip is a little bit jumpy. Can you imagine describing these sexual acts in front of a child? It's wild. I would never do that. Surely, Amberlynn Reid knows this is wrong. The way that Amberlynn says a little bit and then looks over at Libby after each sentence shows that she's trying to gauge Libby's reaction. She is entirely interested in how Libby reacts. She knows she's massively pushing a boundary, and she's looking over at Libby to see how it lands, to see if she responds, if she gets anything out of her, if she causes a rise in Libby. That is so gross and so inappropriate. Other comments agree with me. For example, this one, which says, I said this before, no adult person needed Amberlynn Reid to explain lesbian sex. No one asked that. She just wanted to talk about it in front of Libby. She wanted to gauge Libby's reaction for whatever reason. I don't know, seems like grooming to me. Like I've just said, I agree entirely that she is trying to gauge Libby's reaction. It's so obvious in the video. Now, there are people who might see this video and see Libby and think, well, she's 15, that's not that big of a deal. 15 is almost 16, which is the age of consent in the UK and the majority of American states, although it is 17 or 18 in some states. And if you think that, I just want to show you respectfully why you're wrong. There's a clip where Amberlynn Reid says that Libby is 15 but fixing to be 16, as if this makes a difference. So there's a couple of reasons why this kind of thinking is really dangerous. The first is that the law is there for a reason. We need to have a line at which point somebody becomes an adult. It can't be a moving scale or a blurry line. It has to be a clear cut-off point. There needs to be something. There needs to be a hard and fast rule that we can point at, where we can say, no, you are legally a child before this point. It's really important that we have that. If you're inclined to say, yeah, well, the law is there, but look at Libby, she looks older, she's mature for her age, or whatever BS you might say, just be aware that this is the PDF mantra. Trying to justify one's predatory behaviour because the child in question looks old is not only unfair to the child themselves, because they often can't help how they look, but it's also completely irrelevant. It's kind of like saying it's fine to assault this woman because she looks like she's interested in sex. It's just victim blaming. Amberlynn and Destiny let Libby down on so many levels. Listen to Amberlynn explain how she thinks of Libby.
Her mature level is pretty high. And I had no idea she was 15. Like, every time I saw her, I literally thought she was around my age. I never, knew her age or anything. And then finally one day, she said that she was only 15, and I'm like, I was taken aback. Sometimes age does not matter. Libby is, one of my really good friends, and we just get along really well, so.
With that in mind, listen to this clip too.
Someone's like, do you have a crush on Libby? And I'm just like, no. Libby's actually a really, really good friend of ours. Someone else also asked if Libby was a lesbian, and no, she's not. So, did I tell you about that? No. People keep talking about Libby, and they're like, is Libby a lesbian? Do you have a thing for Libby? And I'm like, no, she's 15. Yeah, she's 15.
It isn't until Destiny yells she's 15 that Amber even mentions it. The question that Amberlynn is referring to in the video I've just shown is this one from Ask FM. Is Libby a les? Do you have a crush on her? No and no lol. She's a really good friend of mine. The fact that Amber writes no instead of she's a child is just strange. If I had any kind of contact with a kid and somebody external asked me if that kid was a lesbian, I would be like, are you fucking okay? Are you sick? What's wrong in your head? How dare you bring up such a question about a minor? Just to say here as well, it's different for kids who are all the same age. So if loads of kids are all together and they're all 14, 15, 13, 10, hell, whatever age, if those kids among themselves are talking about inappropriate things, there's nothing predatory happening there because there's no adults involved. The kids are all on the same level, if that makes sense. That's why it's fine if kids muck about and say shit to each other about being lesbians or whatever. That's not a problem. But if there's an adult there, the adult should not be getting involved in those conversations. There's also this clip where Destiny is bothering Libby while she's in the shower.
Get out of the shower. What the fuck? Why do you keep telling me like 3 times?
And there's this clip where Libby has gotten out of the shower and Amberlynn is filming her in a towel.
Leave me alone. Libby, why do you take 30? No, actually, it was like 40-minute shower.
No, because I take a long shower.
And Destiny and Amber seem to kiss in front of Libby a lot, which I think is inappropriate.
Like the questions and then what?
What? We're busy. So we were talking about. Huh?
Another way that Amberlynn and Destiny fail to look out for Libby is when they meet this guy called Nick.
We made a new friend.
Yes.
Nicholas.
So they're out one day and this guy Nick comes over and befriends the group. I believe that Nick is 20 years old. They spend time with him hanging out on the beach and then they go and sit in a fast food restaurant into the small hours of the morning. So that's a man. Like, look, a whole man. That is an adult man. So they spend this evening together and Nick is clearly trying to hit on Libby, flirting with her by playing this stupid hand slapping game.
Libby sucks butt.
Come on.
Really bad.
Oh my god, your hands
This is
are
how
so
couples
red.
should start arguing. Just play a game of slaps.
Yeah.
Whoever wins, you know?
Oh my god.
Look at how he leans on the seat next to her in the car. There's also a clip where Libby and Nick come back from being in the bathroom together. I personally would have gone with Libby rather than sending her with some random guy, but whatever. You can see where Nick comes back to the table and sits down. The clip is a bit jolty, but he puts his arm out and leans it on the seat that Libby is sitting on. Mr. Snowflake talks about this in one of his videos. It's kind of a possessive move. Mr. Snowflake is a man himself and he thinks that. Listen to what he says.
And a hand chunk of people are like, does Nick have a crush on Libby? For some reason, the first time Nick was...
I really don't like that. I don't think I spotted it the first time, but when I was quickly putting the clips together for this, I was like, oh, he's doing that thing that like a guy will do when he's with his girlfriend. He puts his arm around the chair where she sat. I remember seeing it in a body language documentary years ago. It's like it's you know, it's yours. This is my girl. I don't know, I didn't accent. This is my girlfriend. Oh, it's really creepy. Why is there a grown man doing this around a kid that he doesn't know?
really rude about it, and he's such a freaking awesome, great person. But no, Nick does not like Libby like that.
She's a kid. Mention that she's a kid, man.
It seems clear to me that he's trying to get close to her. Also, there's a clip where Amberlynn Reid answers the question of does Nick like Libby? And instead of saying no, Libby's a child, she just says no, he doesn't. There's also a clip where Nick says that Destiny asked Libby to ask Nick if he was into sex. Watch this, and I'll leave Mr. Snowflake's commentary in there too because I think it's really interesting.
You asked her to ask me.
What?
Look, it said Destiny wants to know if you're into anal.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that either.
You said
You guys are so...
Well, I don't
Let her
want to.
finish her play
I'm
story.
absolutely certain you asked that. Anyways.
I'm a bit lost with all that, but why that discussion's come up when there's a kid, like... Am I an alien? If Destiny's fine with this, Amber's fine with this, and I'm watching it going, am I an alien? This is mental, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's absolutely wrong. Snowflake is not an alien. He's absolutely bang on. Nick bringing up this topic of sex in front of Libby is wild. Destiny and Amber, who are her closest adults, are wrong and vile for even entertaining the conversation. Note here too how Nick says that Libby asked Destiny to ask him, as if that makes it okay, but it doesn't. Libby is a child. Like I've been banging on about in this video, if she says something inappropriate, it's the job of the adults to be like, whoa, don't bring that up, and circumnavigate the conversation. But clearly, Amberlynn, Nick, and Destiny are so morally deficient that they think that this is okay. It's not. At one point, Amberlynn turns the camera on Nick and Libby, Nick, who is 20, Libby, who is 15, and says, "Aw, lovies."
Oh, lovies.
That is just vile, and it shows where Amberlynn's mind is at with it. She thinks it's okay that this 20-year-old man is talking to this teenage girl in this way. There's also a part where we can hear Nick in the background asking Libby to go to his car, and somebody says that sounds R-wordy, and he agrees. Listen.
Come to my car with me.
That sounds spooky.
It does. Come on.
That sounds rapey.
So
It's pretty rapey, yeah.
this conversation took a turn.
The fact that Amberlynn is there, hears this, and says that conversation took a turn, instead of saying, "Oh my god, Nick, what are you talking about?" to a literal child, speaks volumes. Some people say that although Amberlynn Reid is an adult, she has the mental age of a child, so it kind of makes this all okay. Look at this comment. This was such a weird and awkward era. Everybody being 21 plus, and Libby was 15, 16 at the time. Like, I don't know, that's weird, lol. This person replies, "Not really, since Amber is stuck in a junior high school / high school stage mentality. This is bullshit. I am going to cover Amberlynn's immaturity and whether I think that factors in here later in the video. I just want to mention here that that is what some people think, but I am going to cover that in a bit. What I want to say now is that some PDFs, or people who are interested in harming children, will use all kinds of excuses to blur the line and muddy the waters and make it easier to reach children. This is how grooming works. This is how abusers will make things seem light-hearted and silly so that they can get closer to minors. They'll make things inappropriate, gauge the child's response, and then increase the sexual nature of their comments until they're having full-on sexual conversations with children. They often do this in plain sight, where if they get called out, it can be brushed off and made out to be a joke. This can sometimes read as flirting. So you know, obviously in a consensual setting, if you like somebody and you think somebody might like you, you'll try like a gentle flirt. I know that lesbians are typically bad at flirting. Luckily for me, I don't fall into that category. You know how you'll try a gentle flirt and then you'll see if they flirt back? You sort of put your flirting feelers out and see if they send you the vibes back, and that's kind of how you know, how you gauge if the person likes you. I truly feel like that is what is happening here between Nick and Libby, but also between Amber and Libby. She seems to kind of poke at Libby and make these jokes and see how Libby reacts and see how far she can push it. And I think the fact that Amberlynn is okay with doing this, making these kinds of jokes, talking this way around Libby, making sexual adjacent jokes and just outright pushing Libby's boundaries, it really does read as flirting. That's the vibe I get anyway, just kind of flirtatious. Can I say from everything I've just shared that Amberlynn is definitely a PDF file? So no, I can't say it definitely. I absolutely can't, and that is not what I'm saying. I think that there's more evidence here that there's definitely something strange going on. There's enough to make me extremely concerned. I'm very, very uncomfortable watching it, and I think it's absolutely inappropriate and wrong. I tend to use this maxim in my life quite a lot, just generally in situations. Do not attribute to malice what can be attributed to stupidity. This, in my life anyway, has stood me in really good stead. It's helped me to not have a victim mindset in life. What I mean here is that there are people, and I'm sure you know people like this, you might be people like this, where everything that you can take to be really awful and malicious, you do take it that way. I'm not like that. I tend to stay more so on the fence, and then I look at what evidence there is either way and see if I can be convinced. In this situation, I don't think that maxim applies. I really do feel that there's more evidence that Amber has something odd going on than there is likelihood that she doesn't have something strange going on. She shows time and time again that she knows Libby is a child, but that it just doesn't matter to her. When it came to Nick, she should have been protecting Libby, but she wasn't. I also have to ask where the fuck Libby's parents are letting her hang around with these adults. There are two Ask FM questions that Amberlynn receives about Libby's parents. They are, her parents don't care about her going out with a grown man. Okay, we'll see about that. Amberlynn says, I'm 25, I'm older than him, what's the difference? He's not a grown man, you're making it sound like he's 30, lol. Libby's sister's boyfriend is 5 years older than her and her parents don't care. Age is just a number. That is honestly the PDF file mantra. Somebody says, do Libby's parents have a problem with letting her hang out with you when you're 10 years older? Amberlynn puts, no lol, what am I going to do? Shoot up heroin with her? Come on now, age has nothing to do with it. Values, morals, etc. does. We've seen in this video that Amberlynn does not have values or morals when it comes to this, and dismissing this concern and saying age has nothing to do with it is so wrong and inappropriate. There is something else we can look at as well. I cannot in good faith make this video without bringing up Casey. When Amberlynn was 17, she met Casey online. Casey was 15 at the time.
When we started dating, I should say, I was 15 years old. 15. when we met. She's 2 years older than me. We were together from the time I was 15 to the time I was 18 years old. That is a pretty long time for a teenager.
According to Casey, Amber tried to convince him to send inappropriate photos when he was underage. Here is Casey explaining how Amber, who was 17 at the time, successfully convinced them to send nudes when they were underage.
When it was still long distance, even to this day, I am not very fond of spicy pictures being sent. I'm not very fond of it. I don't like doing that. I'm not. She wanted a spicy picture. She was asking me about this for a couple weeks. And I was like, I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable. And I was 15. Again, I was 15, 17. And I just kept telling her, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with that. Why do you want this? Like, I'm not comfortable. And she didn't want, like, front. She wanted, that's what she wanted. She wanted the below the belt. And I was like, no, I'm not comfortable. And I just kept saying, I'm not comfortable with it. But then she said, if you don't do that, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to break up with you.
So we have an actual victim who was a child at the time claiming that Amber tried to push him into sending inappropriate photos. Now listen to this part, which is really, really sad, where Casey explains why he ended up doing it.
And at 15, hearing that from someone who you're dating, you're just like, oh no, I don't want to lose the only person who's actually attracted to me.
Yeah.
And I did it. I didn't like doing it. I didn't want to, but hearing if you don't do that, this is going to happen, I was like, oh, well, I don't want to be single and not have anyone who cares about me like this, so I guess I will. I'll do it. And I did it. And do I regret it? Yes, I regret it. And being at the age I am now, if I had a kid who did that, I would be like, oh no, you don't need to be with that person. You don't need to be with anyone like that, because that is distributing of porno.
Yeah.
And yeah.
All credit goes to Mr. Snowflake for these clips, by the way. They're from his Victims of an Empath series. So yeah, there we have it, straight from the mouth of somebody who was directly affected by Amberlynn when they were a minor. You can see in the clips I just showed that Mr. Snowflake also flashes up the relevant laws. And I checked, and it's true that at the time, Amberlynn having those pictures of Casey was a criminal offence. The fact that Amberlynn did this shows that she has no concern for the fact that minors can't consent. She seems to think of young people as if they're adults, which is just really, really wrong. Something which has also not helped Amber out at all is this video which was posted by her ex Beck, who claims that Amberlynn made inappropriate comments about Billie Eilish, who was also a minor at the time.
I only found out recently that Casey was a minor, and I didn't know anything really about Libby. I'd never met her or anything, but all I did know about it was that she was Destiny's friend and she was a teenager, and they had an adult friend who had a crush on her. And I told Amber that I thought that was weird, and Amber was like, yeah, but he was a good guy, which I don't understand how he could be a good guy and be flirting with a minor. The only other red flag I've really seen from Amber was she did have a crush on Billie Eilish when Billie was just starting out. So I think she was a teenager around then, which I told her was weird, and so did Eric and Ricky, but she said that she was almost an adult and that she acted older and looked older, so it was okay.
It's not completely clear if Billie was a minor or just the teenager at the time, and of course Beck could be lying, as I've discussed in my previous video, but I highly, highly doubt that. I think Beck is very credible. If you want to hear me argue for that, go ahead and watch this video here where I talk about Beck. There's also this clip. Now forgive me if it's a bit shaky or unclear, but just for context, this girl Darlene, who they're discussing in this clip, was 15 when this was filmed.
Did you like the episode? Yeah, it was good. Tell them what you think of Darlene.
She's bae. I love Darlene.
She said she'd be a pedophile towards Darlene.
I did not say that. Darlene is 15, 16?
I think that this is a photo of her, although I can't be sure if it's from the exact same time. And if you listen to the clip, you can hear Amberlynn Reid say of Darlene, who is a child, she's bad, which I think is a way of saying that somebody is hot or good looking. Saying that about a child is super, super gross. Okay, so we've gone over what evidence we have. Now I'm going to tackle this idea that because Amberlynn Reid is a child mentally, that this somehow excuses or explains her behaviour. I know there are people who think this. I've shown a comment already. They think that Amberlynn Reid's actions are not malicious or not as bad because she is stunted developmentally and effectively she's just the child in her own head hanging out with Libby, who is another child. If we look at the way that Amberlynn Reid and Libby interact, it is very childish. They mess around on shopping carts, put olives onto all of their fingers.
We both went and got manicures. Stupid.
Flick sauce and mayonnaise at each other and just generally act like children.
Do not. Destiny. Destiny. Stop.
The sort of thing that they get up to is exactly the sort of thing that I think Libby should be doing. Hell, it's the sort of stuff I did when I was 14, 15, 16. Just mucking around, hanging out in fast food places for way longer than I should have because I had nowhere else to be, finding everything hilarious and being silly and making jokes. The issue here, though, is that Libby should be doing this with other kids, not grown-ass women who have no business behaving this way around a child. If you were to look at one thing in this video, just one clip or one comment or one instance of inappropriate behaviour, yeah, maybe that could be explained or ignored. But the fact that there is so much content, enough for me to make a, 40-minute video about it, is really, really concerning. Sure, Destiny had known Libby for years and years, so maybe thought of Libby as one of them, but she still acted inappropriately. But Amberlynn didn't know Libby like this. Although she's immature, she's still an adult. The responsibility still falls on her to act like an adult. Through all the evidence I've shown in this video, you can see this dangerous and worrying theme which keeps popping its head up through this content. Amber does not respect other people. She does not respect minors. She's willing to push boundaries and cross the line in order to, well, that's the question, isn't it? I suppose that's the conclusion of this video, and that's what I want to ask you, the audience. What does it show? Why is Amberlynn willing to film a minor in a towel, discuss sex in front of a minor, have a crush on underage girls and say it's fine because they look older, or try and force a minor into sending nudes, and whatever the hell else she's done in this video? We ask ourselves, why did Amber do all of this? The idea that it's just because she's immature doesn't feel convincing to me. So what is it? Is it because she genuinely likes kids? Is she a full-on PDF file? Is it just incompetence and stupidity and her being an immature fool? I think I've covered enough evidence in this video to suggest that there is, at least in my opinion, a serious cause for concern. If it is immaturity, humour and stupidity, it's still harmful, and Amber is still responsible. Just look at the memes on the Instagram account which sparked this entire thing. The sick attempt at humour in these posts, I think, are mirrored in Amberlynn's own humour, sexual in nature, trying to be passed off as a joke and trying to make things seem okay which aren't okay. And although we can't say definitively whether she is a PDF file or not, I certainly wouldn't let her be around my kids, that's for sure. Thank you for watching. As ever, I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Hi, we're back again to the post-show, so let me just make sure I'm still recording audio. Yeah, I am. So when I got to this bit of the script where I say there are two issues with Amber's explanation, and they are number one, and I say number one, even though I'm talking about like one of the most serious topics ever. Sorry, my tummy just rumbled if you heard that. I'm so hungry. I still said number one, and then I just heard Hamilton in my head. I can't make it go away. I literally said number one, and then I just heard, number one, I'm a girl in a world in which my only job is to marry rich. My father has no son, so I'm the one who has to social climb for one, because I'm the oldest and the wittiest, and the gossip in New York City is insidious, and Alexander is penniless. That doesn't mean I want him any less. Also, just to add as well, something funny happened. So I was scrolling on my channel, having a little look at my subscribers and stuff and whatever. By the way, I've hit 25,000 subscribers, which is fucking amazing. You guys are the best. I saw that Quirky Love Rosie started following me. Now, if you don't know who Quirky Love Rosie is, I think her name is Quirky Love Rosie anyway. She started following me. She's the girl who's saying that she doesn't want anything to do with Girl World. She is on the record saying, I want nothing to do with Girl World, and I'm offended that anybody compares me to Amberlynn Reid. But she followed my channel, and what am I if not an Amberlynn commentary channel, or at the very least a generalized commentary channel who specializes in Amberlynn Reid, because she is my special interest. I'm trying to think what else I was going to say while I've got you guys. I remember you wanted to see some crochet. Let me grab some crochet and show you. This is for you guys who asked for it. So I'm going to show you just one thing. I guess I'll show you like one thing at the end of each video, or maybe I'll cave and make a whole video about crochet. We'll see. This is a blanket I made. It's probably like the crochet item that I'm the most proud of, because it took so much fucking effort and I had to learn so many stitches for it. This is it. I'll put the name of the pattern here, and I'll like fast forward through that clip where you can see all the different stitches. It took me so long to make. I think I started it and then I didn't finish it for a year. I wasn't working on it non-stop. I love all the different stitches and how it's like so cool. I told my mom I wanted a mixed stitch blanket pattern for Christmas, and she got me this kit that had all the colours in. I don't think I'm going to start making videos about crochet because it's just, I tried and it's so difficult to film. I've made a few. I'll chuck them here if you want to watch them, and I'll put them in the description. I do love a bit of crochet, so maybe I'll chuck it in here and there for you guys. But yeah, I thought I'd show you that. That's like one of my proudest makes. I'm super proud of it. Okay, say bye to everybody. High five. Good girl.